So we look at Russia, we look at the incidents that's going on with Ukraine. And I think that I'm just going to use the last video where it stopped, and I'm going to continue on. Let's say if Scotland got independence, is where I got to. And Scotland managed to get independence from Britain. And as they got independence, they went into the EU. Yeah. Let's say they then leave the EU and then want some protection from another one that they join. A Russian-style NATO, for example, or a Chinese-style NATO. And then Scotland want to have all of those different types of Armageddon weaponry put on their landmass. Yeah. Is Britain, my question, going to allow that?
I don't think.
On their border. And they're going to want them all there because, you know, Britain might, you know, might want to try and take back the land or something. Would you take back the land from Scotland, or would you allow Scotland to be free and independent to make their own decisions based upon their own outcomes of a referendum? South America, which is Mexico, isn't it, I think?
Yeah.
Or if Britain, which we can't use that, so we'll have to use Mexico. Let's say for Mexico decided that they want a Chinese-style NATO. Not saying that they have one, but let's say they did. And they then said to Mexico, you know, we'll protect you, we'll do this. We'll start moving over all of this military equipment. And we'll start putting it around the border near America. If we were to ask the American people, I can't speak for anybody, but what I can do is assume, what if the Americans say, there's no fucking way you're bringing that shit here. There is no way on this earth you're bringing that. Would you stand back and let that happen, or would you fight and take over Mexico? This is the question I got, because whatever we do now affects the future. And it's not a sign of weakness to allow something to happen for the best interests for national security, that in one of the deals back to Russia is that we don't do no-style NATO on our territories, and we won't do it on your territories. Because this can work both ways, can't it? This can go both ways. What if they make a NATO style? With new tech that we don't have any idea about, and then it starts coming onto our borders. You're going to like that? No, I don't think you are, and I don't think anyone in their right mind would sit back and allow that. Ask anybody in Britain whether they would accept Scotland being independent. Secondly, and whether, if independent, would you allow Scotland to join another type of NATO style that wasn't in let's say, because it's European Union, isn't it? Yeah. And America, and everyone who's in NATO. What about the ones that aren't in NATO? And let's say they make a NATO #2, their own version of NATO. And I'm not being xenophobic when I say they, and I don't mean they and us. I've got love for everybody involved with this. But I just want to try and see that we're all seeing it, and I'm trying to show you what I'm seeing, to let you see it, to then maybe it might help with this situation to understand the feeling of what is going on inside Russia right now. And if we say, no, that's it, we're gonna be putting in our 2 pennies and a fork, we are having it. This opens Pandora's box later, that this could work the other way. I don't think that West would allow that. What say if we were not friendly with America and Canada decided to get a different style? There would be no way that would be allowed to happen. You see, it's very easy when we live surrounded by ocean water. It's easy to say, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, no, you can't, because we don't ever put ourselves in that position. Because it never happened to us, so therefore it doesn't affect our psychology, and therefore when we make, I don't know, decisions based upon our own experience, we don't see it. Until you put you in that situation. And then I'm wondering, where do I stand on this? Like, I see everyone else is saying, no, a peaceful world, we can never have it like this. I'm the opposite. I think a peaceful world, and it is, unfortunately, Russian are advancing. I don't know. No. If this went the other way, I think that's all I really need to say on this video, to be honest, and I think that sums up my thought process on the subject. I'm not looking at whether this is right or wrong. I'm not looking at it whether it is, anything to do with righteousness or wrongness. I'm not seeing it like that at all. No, I'm seeing this as a stable. This needs to come to the surface in order for it to be sorted out, and maybe it will go amicably, because we look at that and think, that's a fucking good point. Hate it, but it's a good point. But it is a very good point. It's valid. Then it becomes more, you put yourself into a Russian situation or position,
Yeah.
and then you get a bit of insight for the other. There's no way that movement forwards to a resolution is going to come if we don't put ourselves in each other's shoes, I think, and try and come with this way that works for everybody all around. So yeah, it's weird having all of this territory thing, but that's the way it is. That's the way we've grown to be. It's a weird world that we're all fearful of different things happening, and it's logical fear. It's not fear that isn't rational. It's not rational. No, this is very logical fear to have, and it's probably fear is not the right word, but this sort of, hey, this don't look good. And if we literally put up our guard here, and what I'm saying is to happen, that there is another style of NATO rise up, which there's a possibility that it could. How do you not know that it isn't already in the making already? And we just don't know it yet. And then it's an offer that is so good to be true, and other nations around America in particular start taking this on. And they'll say, no, you're not doing that. Hang on a minute, but you said no to Ukraine and Russia. Hang on, nah, fuck it, we're doing it. I always look at the future. It's the future impact. I don't look at now, I'm looking more in the future with this. Let's run with this for a second. I run with it both ways. One way, and I've run with it the other way. This one seems like it weighs more heavy on the minds of the people that the governments stand for. In America, I believe, if you were to put this into the public domain and ask them to vote about that, America, how would you feel if, Mexico decided to go in a Russian-style NATO, blah-de-blah, Chinese-style, Australian-style, British-style NATO, Hungarian-style NATO, and EU-style NATO, one that wasn't a part of the same agenda of NATO stands for, and we know it. The helm was with someone else. Would it be okay if Mexico joined that? Vote now, please, America. Britain, would you like it if this, and this happened? If this, rah-de-rah-de-rah. EU, in the middle of the EU, smack bang in the frickin' middle of it. Another nation's like, I want to join that style NATO. Would you allow this to happen? Right in the middle of the EU, and then they start bringing all this artillery and everything else. And they start pointing it all the way around the outside, because that's a border. You look like a threat. Maybe you're not, we'll be friends, but still, still going to put this stuff up here just in case. You know what I mean? Would you allow that? Or would you be acting like Russia and being like, fuck this, man, and acting normal, by the way, very normal. Fuck that. Fuck this. No way. That's not happening. No, this is not happening. Or would you be, yeah, sure, we'll let that happen, Sure, yeah, we'll let that happen. Vote now, people in Britain. Fuck off. No way, no way, no way. No, I can already... You know what? If this was a leader getting voted into Parliament, it wouldn't be a hung Parliament. It would be hands fucking down. 99.9% vote, people would say, I would vote for that. not to happen. And if it was a government, man, you would be winning for it would be a hard press to shift a vote like that one. And I think then you get the consensus, then you get an understanding. We got to look at the future. What we do now affects us in the future. And if this were to happen and then we say no, you can't then say no, because then the people will be like, hang on a minute, but this because of this. And then it would be like, oh shit, yeah, but wasn't this the same thing with Ukraine and Russia? Yeah. Well, I'm not a hypocrite. Yeah, I actually am, you know. I love the star. I love it. I think it's brilliant. As soon as it starts eating planets and destroying everything I know and love, I fucking hate that star. I love the Earth. It's brilliant. It's brilliant until it does something. This fucking planet, man. Do you understand? Do you get what I mean? It's we are hypocrites. It is what we are, by and large. But when we're not aware that we're being a hypocrite, we're a hypocrite. But when we become aware that we are being a hypocrite, we stop being hypocrites. I don't know. So I'm just gonna leave this one here. Let that air out. I want to upload it up to YouTube. I'm not 100% sure. And then, yeah, I think then that might make a little bit more of a way forwards that we can all understand, in a way. Do you get what I mean? Like, that it might help some talks come about. Because to say no here is to say no later.
That's why we have conflict. It changes all the time.
To say no here means you can't say no later. And if this were to happen, then you've got a little bit more of a ticket to go, that ain't fucking happening. What was that, Scotland? No fucking way. No fucking way. And then you'll have everybody else saying, no, but you got to let them, you know, you got to, man. You didn't let it for this. You've got to let this happen, you know, because, you know, you did for one, didn't do for another. And I'm going to leave it here because I think I said enough. I think that's about